Richard, thanks for the opportunity again with Pulse and PulseX. Quick question. Who's going to buy Pulse or PulseX with so much money being sacrificed? Any buyers left? Well, let me think. When Hex launched, um, there was what, 20,000 participants or something like that? Can't remember the exact number. 20,000 sounds about right. And then how did that had Hex do? Did amazingly well. Went up 1,000,000% in 623 days. Under 2 years. When Ethereum launched and people sacrificed their, or I don't know the exact word for it, but they lost their Bitcoin and they got Ethereum at some date in the future. How'd that work out? It worked out well. I can't think of an L1 system that hasn't worked out well. Dogecoin pumped, Bitcoin pumped, Bitcoin Cash didn't pump. That's just been death for a few years now. AVAX pumped, Solana pumped, BNB pumped. It's the main token of BSC. What hasn't pumped? That's an L1. Are there any L1s that didn't pump? No, they've all done great. And a lot of them had crappy crowd sales with venture capitalists and all these different machinations. And like, I can't really think of an instance of an L1 not doing well. At least the ones that we support and use and look at, right? Like, it's so this fantasy that like there's 70,000 people that have participated in the sacrifice phase with extremely strong. I mean, apparently the top 10%. Somebody did this math, and like there's a very heavy power law distribution towards the whales being the majority of the sacrifice, which is that way in everything. Like 42% of all 42% of all Bitcoin's owned by 2,100 addresses. That's just how it works. So this idea that like, I think that the more people participate in the sacrifice phase, the better the price performance will be. The reason that the prices of these cryptocurrencies, the majority of cryptocurrencies that you've heard about, go up is because of word of mouth. And it's a snowball effect, and it's an exponentiality. And the larger the snowball is that you start with, the quicker and larger the exponentiality gets. So I think that the price performance of Pulse and PulseX will be better the more people participate in the sacrifice phase. I think if you try and game that and like starve it and pretend like, oh, I'm gonna get more of a smaller pie instead of less of a larger pie, that you just end up with less. Because I mean, if you push this idea to extremes, you could own 100% of a coin that only you know about. It's worth nothing. Or you can own 1% of a coin that everyone knows about, and it's worth billions of dollars. So it's, in my opinion, the best way to on-ramp as many people to the sacrifice phase as you can so that they get their beaks wet, they get addicted to watching the chart, they get addicted to the gains, they tell all their friends, they become part of the cult. If something makes your life better and gives you a peer group and makes you feel important and makes you happy and makes you feel special and fulfills your needs, you should get addicted to it, because by golly, that's the best thing I've heard of. Everything else that's going on in the world kind of sucks. The fact that you could have something so cool available to you is like a miracle. So yeah, I don't think that I don't think anyone that's doing this math of like, oh my God, the price isn't going to pump as hard because there's so much interest. It doesn't make any sense. Because there's been tons of interest in tons of things, and they've done very, very well. So like, the only way that you could have less money raised is to have less people interested, and you're going to have less word of mouth, and then you're going to just slow down the snowball. You're going to have a starter snowball to start with. You're going to have a smaller snowball the language though, you're going to have a smaller snowball to start with. So I think it's just silly. So I think that more people participating now is better for midterm and long-term growth. And then short-term, it's probably also better as long as your time frame is longer than a month. I mean, when Hex had a hard launch phase, and then it had this every day, 1 billion coins is coming out every day. And unless you match it with equal demand on every day, you get a dip. And so, it mirrored the launch mechanics that EOS had, and EOS had the same dip. and then Hex had the same dip. That's why I published the chart in the beginning and told people don't FOMO day one. You probably want to scale in because the launch mechanic is similar to EOS, and look what the EOS chart did. So, we don't have that problem in Pulse and Pulse Chain. We don't have a billion new coins coming out every day. Pulse Chain and Pulse X, we don't have that problem. So, even in Hex that had that kind of bad mechanic of hammering a new billion every day, linear, it still went up like crazy after 30 days passed, I think.